Hi, welcome to my video. This is a writing on the wall. It is about the Tower card. I just thought throughout 2020 and coming into 2021 and throughout 2021, I see and have seen a lot of tower moments happening. Now they are necessary. The systems that we've been living under, the powers that we've been living under need to end, need to stop. We go about our lives oblivious to a lot of the atrocities that go on, but one way or another, guaranteed you're affected by these systems, by this patriarchal system that has been in place for too long and is not of the natural order of things. So we have seen and are due to see a heck of a lot more so-called powers that be, towers and structures coming down. Some of those towers and structures, because they know and they keep a close eye on the cycles, the astrological signs, the way things are moving with people, because they spy on us each and every day. Some of those things they are deliberately imploding and bringing down. There'll be a lot of sacrificial lambs amongst the so-called powers that be. That does not mean those sacrificial lambs in those powers were good. It just means that they are their ego is being used to the nth degree, and now they are disposable to these powers that I feel trying to come in and take over even more so. That means it filters down into our individual lives, where during 2020, because of the pandemic and the forced house arrests, forced draconian rules that made no sense, there were a lot of pressures put on people, and through those pressures, towers came crumbling down. The towers in our life. Now, the tower is a major arcana in the tarot deck, and doing personal readings for people, I realized that it brings sheer terror to a lot of people because they don't understand the full meaning of the tower and what it entails, what energy that card holds for you in your personal reading. Up to 2020, right from 2018, people like myself, great astrologers like David Palmer, Maruma too, were warning people about get around the people who are of your frequency, choose your lane, choose to learn how to be in high frequency, choose to be how to be discerning and around the energy you share with certain people. Because a lot of people didn't heed those warnings, didn't read the energy, didn't see what was on its way, we found that in 2020, a lot of you in your individual lives were found to be isolated around people that usually there would be at least distractions from: work, gym, etc., etc. All of a sudden we were plunged into, for a lot of people, spending time with those that are supposedly closest to us, but actually hadn't been on the right frequency to us for a long time. Again, this caused a lot of towers. And so I just wanted to go through the tower card and the energy behind it and the gifts that you can find within it. One, to make sense of the tower moments within 2020 for you, but also to be able to make sense of the tower moments of the people that you care about. The collective stage tower moments that have been and are yet to come, and also in 2020 to see how you can progress through the energy of the tower card and use it to accelerate your full potentiality. And so here we go. So this is where I'm going to try and share the screen. Looks like it's doing it. It's done it. Yay. So this is my very rudimentary diagram of the tower. I'm going to show you some of the tower cards that we've got. Let's hold on. I'm going to unshare for a second. That worked. I'm getting better. So this is just a small selection of tower cards in the tarot. So this being the dragon deck, and you can see that this is very, very turbulent and very abrupt and startling. It's very intense looking. you know, those waters are splashing right up. This tower is on a very rocky foundation, and we've got this dragon sort of pulling down the top of the tower, and there's flames everywhere. So we've got that one. Now we've got this one, and this is in the sexual energy deck, and this is called Eruption in this deck. And you can see that this is obviously depictive of our lower self, not to be negated for better or worse than, but our lower self, where you know, creation happens. But you know, with this, it's an eruption because it goes against the creative process, as it should be, you know, that Kundalini energy, that savoring of that energy between two people or between yourself. And so you see this eruption happening, and all of this leaking of creative fire and passion, again, in good measure, not a bad thing. With the right person, not a bad thing. In the right frequency, a wonderful thing. Not so much in that card. So we've got the traditional Rider-Waite deck, and this is the one we're going to be going off. And so you can see the illustration there, and I'm going to go deeper with that one. It's just so you've got a bigger vision of it. And then we've got the Egyptian deck here, and you can see this one is brutal. This isn't even the Tower card, it's the Seven of Swords. It's just got a tower in the back of it. I'll find you the Tower card. If I can't find it straight away, we'll crack on. I always mistake the 10 of Swords in this deck for the Tower. I think it's because it's so brutal, and the Tower card does feel oh so brutal when it's happening, especially if you don't understand it and understand what it's doing for you and where you can find yourself within it. Come on, Jenny. Everyone but the Tower. But Theodore's stolen the Tower. I shouldn't really say that until I know. But he does steal my cards. He likes them though. It's funny as well, he loves the Swords cards, no matter what deck it is. And he's an Aquarius, so they do resonate with him. So yeah, we've got the Tower here. So you can see everything's collapsing down from the scaffolding. They're building something that is unstable, and it's coming from the top. Remember that, it's coming from the top, not actually the pillars. The pillars are standing strong, but the scaffolding that they've built to get to the top, and the top is coming down. So now we'll share the screen and get on with it. So press the same button, Jenny, share screen. Are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Share screen. There we go. Let's see. So we're back to my illustration. So we've got, and I've got my notes here. If you see me looking down, I'm always making notes if you've been following me for any length of time at all. So we've got this fortress in the Tower, and so it's built up. It's high. It is fortress looking. So this fortress is to defend our proud ego. So what do we see at the top? This fortress is defending the crown. So this is in order to try and defend our crowning glory. So we've got our crowning glory. And for a lot of people, this is, you know, in very 3D things, you know, the relationship that we're in, what our partner looks like. Looks, things, status, you know, that kind of thing. Sorry, it doesn't write very well. I keep choosing the wrong pen on the thing. So we build this huge tall tower to defend the ego, which is the crown. Now, the ego in good measure is very useful, but the ego is a very obese part of us, especially under the systems that we're living in, and deliberately so. We've been manipulated into having what I would call obese egos. You know, it'll eat up all that it can and more, and it's never full under these systems and these value systems that we have in place. These status systems that we have in place, you know, the looks, the perfect photograph, the perfect relationship, the perfect social media life, for instance, is a huge one. So then this crown is the symbol of status, pomp, and a self-aggravated ego. You know, it's big, it's out of control. So where you see this crown coming off here in this card, you see this lightning strike from above. And it's actually not damaging any of the structure. It is only damaging the crown, the things that are made up of things that really aren't good for us, things that really do not feed our spirit, the things that we've externalized and instead of internalizing and working from the within, so without, we've really been working hard to build up the we've got a sitcom that was super old, but it was Mrs. Bouquet, and she always had to be better than the neighbours. It was that kind of, and really her surname was Mrs. Bucket, but you know, she pronounced it Bouquet. And so that's where that kind of, you know, keeping up with the Joneses, I think, is another one. You know, the ego is out of whack, and this crown is put on the top of this huge tower, and we're very defensive over it. And over time, we, through getting more and more illusionary about self and this crown getting bigger and bigger and bigger on the top of this tower, eventually this lightning strike, this something from the heavens, you know, comes into play. And it comes as a surprise, which is why a lot of people shudder at the tower card in their personal readings. It comes as a shock. It comes out of seemingly nowhere, but actually it's been building up. If you were to take maybe an addict for some reason, you know, that they, for some reason, start taking more, they get the better car, they get the good job, they can afford to start socially taking drugs. And then, you know, all of a sudden, before they know it, and without them even really knowing it, the drugs have taken hold of them. But they work so hard to still keep the certain look, still keep the certain things like the car, still keep the status. And all of a sudden, their family members who've got no idea that they're addicts get a phone call from the hospital. And this is where this crown gets popped off, because all of this egoic status thing, all of this external thing is shown. You know, this shock shows it up. The shock shows, and you can't hide anymore. It's very eruptive. Not always, but that's as an example where the crown gets knocked off the top out of nowhere often, which is why it is a lightning strike. So it really is that we exist in our head in this place with the ego. And so we're existing right up here. We're taking no notice of the structure of the tower here. We're existing only up here in what isn't real. It doesn't really resonate with who we really are. It's just this drive that is fed to us from birth, you know, to look a certain way, act a certain way, be a certain way, have certain things. And so this is where, you know, it really does. We live up there in our crown rather than having the full scope of ourselves, full scope of self. And so the crown coming off, you know, is us coming down to earth, hitting rock bottom, hitting the bottom. And that's when, you know, it's shown. Our ego is very, very bruised. And I think this is why a lot of people shudder, because the ego, as well as being a beast, is very, very temperamental. It's very, very egoic. It's very temperamental. It does not like to be shown up. It does not like to be bruised. And so when you're so attached to this crown that you've built up, and it gets knocked off, that strikes terror in many people's hearts, because it is something that they've done everything to avoid happening. And so, but it's often, say, this drug addict story or depiction that I'm going along with, it's often needed. Is it going to stop this person from killing themselves eventually? Accidental overdose, wrong batch of drugs, whatever the case may be, you can put that as to however that resonates with you or people that you know, and realize that actually, yes, it can be a gift even that way. And so then we come to the body of the tower of the body tower, body of the tower, body of the tower. And so we see this, that as above, so below, and vice versa. And so this body of the tower, the core of our being, if you want to look at it like this, our true essence is actually structurally strong. It's just waiting to not have so much attention on this crown, that we can actually focus on our true essence, the core of us. And through this, hitting the rock bottom, hitting the need to contemplate, being halted, being stopped by whatever shocking thing comes in to knock this ego off, to knock this crown off. This is where we can start to really see ourselves. And when we feel in that place, in our place of bruised ego, like we've lost everything, we can start to search ourselves, and it gives us actually a braver place to start from. Because when our perceived worst has happened, actually we become very brave, because, you know, we're not held ransom to that ego anymore. We can try something that really resonates with us. We can try and search ourselves for what really serves us, rather than what serves adorning this crown with more and more jewels. And so this tower body is our divine essence. And so this is where we can find our divinity in the energy of the tower, if we use it correctly. When the ego self is discarded, the divine nature of man stands firm. You know, this is where man and woman alike, we find that we find our spine, we find our, you know, we find our backbone, the tower being our backbone. And so this is where we find our grit and our strength to push forward. It's important that within the energy of this tower card, and this is why I'm doing this video, that we don't just have a reflex reaction to go straight back to building this crown up, to stay in the energy of the tower card, to look amongst the rubble that this crown going to the floor causes, because within that there will be true gems. There will be gems to find down here amongst the broken. There will be things that will take us forward, that will strengthen this body, this true essence, this divinity within us, this backbone. And so the three windows then, once this crown is out of the way and we can look past that crown, because the ego is so bruised, you know, it's huddled up in a corner somewhere within ourselves, you know, it's not leaving us alone for a moment to contemplate. This is where we can start to contemplate ourselves. And with these three eyes, we start to see the two eyes here. We start to see where we've gone wrong. We start to see where it went wrong. What steps did we take to get to this place? We actually start to see who's still around, who's there. Because a lot of us, when we've been living in such ego, have fair weather friends. My granny used to call them fair weather friends. They're there with you when you've got the money, they're there with you when you've got the status, but wait until you hit that rock bottom. See who's there. This is when you can start to find tribe on the external, because you can see who's there. And with this third eye, this is where we start to, instead of always just looking outwardly and externalizing constantly, this is where light starts to shine into our inner darkness, this being the third eye. So light comes inward, and this is where we can search for those hidden gems in our core structure, in our divinity. This is where we can have some introspection, where we can look within, basically into our darkness, and find answers, find wounds, find things that do not need to be there in our structure, and also find those gems, most importantly, of who we really are, what we can really represent, what is our potentiality in this dark womb that is our tower, that is our core self. It's where we find our divinity. Then what happens? We have light coming out from an enlightened self. So this becomes enlightened. So let's put some color up in here. So we start to see that now we are, move over. So we start to shine. It's not doing it. Come on, I want color. Okay, we start to shine light out of here. We start to shine from our divinity, from our enlightened self. This creates a whole new world. This creates a whole new look. When we can see the world differently. We can see the world in a different light. This is where we can turn away, all of a sudden seeing the griminess and dirtiness of things that our ego was previously so attached to. This is where we can see the grimy world of the drug addict that, you know, has gone off the rails way too far off. And where we can see who's there, where we can see the beauty. You know, we start to see the beauty of the world, where bliss can be found. And that's because we're shining from the within to the without. Everything starts from within first. When we're not working from the within first, we're up here in our crown. We're stuck in our crown, in our fake crown, not like a crown chakra. And isn't that typical? We put this false crown on top of our most enlightened place. We put this false egoic crown on top of something that is worth more than any gold, silver, copper, jewels than you could ever buy with your ego. This is where we start to see the world differently. And so this is because we are then working in the as above, so below. So before we go to there, let's go to the two figures that are jumping out of the window here. I always see that as the divine feminine, divine masculine. They're jumping out of the window. They're actually in the same position as the hangman. Yet they are, you know, they're not as comfortable as the hangman. You know, they're in terror, and that happens just at the moment when that ego is burst, when that crown is coming down. And for me, in a lot of personal readings, it actually represents other people that have only been around you because you've been in your ego self, because of what you could provide them for their egos. And so, but when it's representing the divine feminine, divine masculine, it represents that, yeah, it's an uncomfortable energy, because ego does not like to be caught out. Ego does not like to be shown for what it is. But it actually gives them a starting place to look at it from a different perspective. They're upside down. They're not living up in their crown anymore. Their head is way, way, way from that crown. It's pointing in the other direction. This is where they search for those gems. Those divinities within you search for those gems when they hit that rock bottom. So this part here is representative of the lower self, the devil. And I'm going to do a video on the devil card too. And so this is where we free ourselves from our shackles, where we free ourselves from the things that led us into all of the things that created this crown in the first place. This is where we achieve the heaven on earth. after all of the negative aspects of the devil. And there are good positive ones too, just like the tower as I'm describing. Proceeding forward after the breakdown of the old order, which put this to the collective stage and the so-called powers that be too, of egocentricity in order to understand ourselves and seek truth through humility, we move on. And this is where, from this lower base self, we find our truths. So this is why I say it's no less than the higher self and no more than. It's intrinsic. It's your foundation. It's your foundation for your higher self. You cannot be in high consciousness if you're not comfortable with your dark room, with your lower aspect of your higher self. If you're building on rocky foundations that you're not comfortable in, that you try and hide away from, you just go right back to building another crown. And if you're building from rocky foundations, you will never have the strength and the intensity and the capability of higher consciousness as you should do. From this, it's actually where we stop this. And from this crown cannot ever be placed back on again, because we check ourselves, and this is where our light eruption happens from. And so the Tower card, although it is uncomfortable, it is only uncomfortable because we have been working real hard to build up false sense of self, false representation of self. That we've even externalized our internal divinity and sovereignty on other people's towers, you know, where you praise Hollywood actors and actresses, where you praise politicians and you praise systems and you praise all of this. You know, actually, you're doing even worse than building your own tower. You're externalizing on somebody else's, which you've got no control of. And so, with all of that being said, I hope this video shows you how the Tower card, when we have built up an ego, or when we have let something into our lives that we shouldn't have, or not that we shouldn't have, yeah, that we shouldn't have initially, with the energy of the Tower card, we can find a strength. We can actually build on our true essence, on our divinity. We build strength in our divinity. We build a structure that is strong, that can weather any storm, because we know how to look within in order to look without. So I hope that this helps. I hope that this, I don't think I've gotten anything else written down. No, I haven't. I hope that this helps. And I hope that when you either see loved ones going through this Tower card moment, you can explain it better to them or be there of support to them. But know that it is for them to decide whether they use the energy of the Tower card within their lives in this way or not. You cannot do that for them. Or indeed, when you're going through your own Tower moments, whatever they may be, that you know that this is a part of the process of you building your way to an even stronger divinity than you were before, an even stronger sovereignty than you were before, an even stronger foundation and backbone and inner standing than you had before. It's not all doom and gloom. In fact, it's the complete opposite, because in these systems, in this dualistic energy that we're in this realm, it seems that more and more it's proven that within this realm, through the greatest adversities, if we can find gems of lessons, of healing, of letting go, the more the enlightenment. And so that's about it, I think. If you have any questions at all, leave a comment and I'll try and get back to you as quickly as possible. Please let me know if you need anything else explained in further detail. I could go on and on about this in many different aspects of life, because the tower can come in any different area of life. But leave a comment as to how you found this video, whether it was understandable, and if you found it helpful at all. I appreciate all of the feedback, and to be honest, I just appreciate you all being a real connected family here. People getting to know people even outside of this channel more because they're in this channel, and so I really, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And this is where we help each other along and help each other have greater inner standings, you know, of ourselves. And this is exactly right on time where we need to be. This is exactly right on time what we need to be bringing in. This individual journey, yes, but this connection and connectivity to others that are of the same frequency or similar frequencies is so, so important and such a beautiful thing. So I love you all. I appreciate you all. I'll get the devil video done as quickly as I possibly can. And we'll crack on with that one. And I hope you're enjoying the daily energy readings. I really appreciate all of the comments on those. And of course, there's been another writing on the wall. It's growing, it's getting better, it's getting bigger, it's getting stronger here. And I appreciate that so much. Please share my work. For those who you think it would help. You never know who's into this and who's not. Some people don't know until they try. And continue to drop in, and I'll see you all soon. Well, I think I will now. I'm just moving my face around and I don't know how to stop that. Okay, so I won't see you all soon. I'll see you all right now because I'm moving the mouse around, and I don't know if you're seeing this, but I'm like a ping pong ball. Okay, Jenny, that's silly. Work out how to stop this happening. I really don't know what I do. Do I double click, triple click, quadruple click, 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 click? Wow. Okay, mini tower moment. Good job I've got no ego regarding my technical abilities, because zipping around, give people dizzy spins. Pew, flying, Jenny, pew. And she flies, pew. Told you I could fly. Look, she can fly. No, I'm only joking. I wonder if we're using a finger or the pen. It's because I've been using a pen, maybe. Okay, now I can stop. Well, I don't know if you saw me flying there, but I saw me flying. I love you all. Wholeness, balance, and much, much love. Mwah.